Hello, welcome back. This is actually titled Episode 4 because me and my rookiness accidentally deleted Episode 3 when I was trying to export it and get it ready to upload to YouTube. But I'm just going to go over a recap here of what I did. It wasn't much, it was about a 20-minute episode. I essentially got the Moho capsule. We had just unlocked a science node that had the thermometer. So I put the thermometer on the Moho capsule. Let me show you here. I put the thermometer on the Moho capsule, and then I relaunched it. I put it back out onto the launch pad, took the thermometer reading, and then I also EVA'd all the way over to the VAB. So it got another EVA reading. That gave me just enough science to be able to unlock the next tech node, which provided me with a barometer, which is another science device. So once again, I put that on there and I launched it and I got the barometer reading out on the launch pad, recovered and got some science back. Then after that, I took my capsule, I loaded it up in the spaceplane hangar and loaded it up onto the runway and then did all my science on the runway. That's both both goo canisters, an EVA, crew report, the barometer, and the thermostat. So all that gave me enough science to be able to unlock another node. This is the one that I made just enough to unlock and gave me the barometer right here. And then I used the next batch of science to unlock stability. In the previous episode, I explained that I'm trying to get to this node so I can unlock these wheels and this tiny engine to be able to create a little science rover to go around KSC. I clearly don't have enough science right now to unlock it. I need to gather some science. So the way I ended the episode was building my Moho launch vehicle so we can make our first launch. So I did that, and it's essentially just attaching the flea booster to the Moho capsule with this decoupler right here. And so now I am going to go over some configuration here. Using the engineer's report, we can see that our mass is 2.56 tons. Well, we want to convert that into our weight, meaning our gravitational weight in newtons, which is approximately multiplying it by 10. So 2.56 tons is approximately 25.6 kilonewtons, if that makes any sense. I can go over the math in another episode, but mass times the acceleration of gravity is the force, or your weight, on the surface of Kerbin. And the acceleration of gravity is just about 9. It's just about 10. It's 9.8 meters per second squared. So this is your mass, and you multiply it by about 10 to get 25.6 newtons or kilonewtons, because this is 1,000 newton. This is 1,000 kilograms. So you multiply it's 1,000 newtons. So it's 25,600 newtons. So it's 25.6 kilonewtons. Okay, so that's how much force is required to get us off the ground. This engine has a sea level force or thrust of 162 kilonewtons, 162.9 kilonewtons at sea level, and this is in the vacuum. So we have way more than we need. We only need 25. I'll say let's reduce it down to about 30. So we do simple approximation math. I'm not going to be too precise yet, but to get to 30 kilonewtons, we'll say we're dividing it by, it's about 1/5 or so. It's about 1/5. We'll just say 25%. Actually, 20% will get us there. 1/5 will get us there. So we right click onto this booster, and we have something here called the thrust limiter. The thrust limiter limits how much thrust is coming out of this engine. So if it's at 100% at sea level, it will have 162.9 kilonewtons. If it's at 50%, it'll have 81.45 kilonewtons. So we want to drop that down to about 20%, which will be 1/5, which will be, it's about 32.4-ish kilonewtons, which is more than we need. Come on, just trying to get it to 20. There we go. Which is more than what we need, but that's fine. And what this does is it allows us to not take off with so many G's, so much G-force. If we were to take off at 162 kilonewtons, well, we'll be taking off with multiple G's, and we're trying to eliminate G's, and it's not as fuel efficient. The longer we're burning through the lower atmosphere, the more efficient our launch is later as we get up into the upper atmosphere. Okay, so more on that later when we have a bigger booster, but for now I just wanted to show you the thrust limiter and a brief little calculation to find your weight in kilonewtons and to analyze how you should reduce your thrust based on that weight. If you wanted to do it precisely, you would take the you would divide your weight, 25.61 kilonewtons, by 162.908. It'll give you a decimal, and you use that decimal to convert to percentage here. Yeah, you have a feeling it'd be somewhere around 1.8-ish or 1.7-ish, or be about 17 or 18%. Anyway, so we have our thrust limited. Now we check our staging here. All right. So when we first press spacebar, our boosters will take off. It'll ignite this booster and our aircraft will take off. Next time we press the space bar, this will decouple and it'll separate our command pod from the booster. And then the next time we press space, it'll initiate the parachute. You'll see this in a little bit more action here coming up, but I just wanted to go over it. Let's see who our crew is. Who do we want to launch? Jebediah Kerman's in there. That's perfect. This will give him a little bit of experience towards his first star. So while this is loading, a little brief explanation of the biomes in around Kerbin. Kerbin has a lower atmosphere and an upper atmosphere, and then it has near space and far space. The lower atmosphere is pretty easy to get to because we can just launch this into the air, take all this data, and then we can take all this data, and then that's in the lower atmosphere. The upper atmosphere starts around, I think it's 20,000 kilometers or 20 kilometers, 20,000 meters, and it's a little bit harder to get to, but not really. When we unlock the next booster, it's pretty easy to get above the upper atmosphere limit with the next booster. So right now, all I'm trying to do is get all these panels ready to go. It makes it so you can get all the science much more efficiently. It's easier than right-clicking and then clicking on it, and then right-clicking on the next one and clicking on it. You can just go through and click on them, and this puts it out of the way so you can click on them even though the screen's popping up. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. Okay, so let's check our resources. We're good. 140 units of solid fuel. We have plenty of electric charge, oxygen, water, and food for, it looks like we haven't launched yet, so we don't know, but I believe it's about 17 hours, which we will not be in the air for 17 hours. Okay, so this is going to be our first launch and our first gathering of science in the air. Like I said, I'm trying to reach 45 science so I can unlock that next node. All right, so we have our SAS activated by pressing T, and then we have a countdown of 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Now we are flying. I'm going to tilt slightly to the east so that I can move away from the Space Center. I'm going to log all of this information right now. So now you can see we have 5 out of 5 pieces of data. The mystery goo observation while flying at Kerbin. The goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Very nice. Temperature scan while flying over a curve and collect and record temperature data from the environment. Collect and record atmospheric pressure data from the surroundings. And the goo jiggles again, and the shores look inviting, and you watch the waves roll into the coast. Beautiful. All right, so I've collected all that data, and that gives me a whole bunch more science. All I have to do now is successfully recover it. So that means I have to take off and then land in this water successfully and then recover my vessel. I have a feeling I'll be able to get to the water. I still have about 20 units. I'm going to tilt. If I can get to the water, then I'll probably do a second launch. So I'll land in the water and then uh, redo all of my science again. That way I can take that science in the water biome. Okay, so my engine just cut out. I'm getting ready to decouple by pressing the space bar to initiate this next stage. My decouple is successful. Now I'm going to flip my capsule around so that it is pointing in the natural direction here and helping us slow down a little bit. Perfect. All right. Now we are beginning our descent. You can tell because our retrograde marker has passed over the horizon. I'm going to let my nose follow that retrograde marker as we descend. All right. So, just a little tidbit. I'm going to do another launch here so that I can land in the water. That's because the water biome, has its own separate set of science. There's also another set of science where I can observe the temperature of above the water, but I'm not going to worry about that one. Maybe I'll strap on a second thermometer and take care of that one on my next flight. But we will be landing in the water several times here as we build our way up to orbit. So I'll have plenty of opportunity to gather that. All right, so remember the parachute deploys at 1,000 meters, so I'm going to deploy it with the space bar. We are falling at 160 meters per second. And now that we're under 1,000 meters, our parachute is spreading out. And we have now come to a successful and safe stop. And we are continuing our descent to the water. All right. Very successful first mission. We were able to use the parachute successfully, and there's my booster falling to the water. That's how much of a difference we get with just the force of the decoupler separating us. Landed way back there, and I'm going to land way over here somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward through this as we go down. Okay, and when we get close, I'm going to initiate the SAS. That way it can hold steady when it lands in the water. SAS is now initiated, and we have touchdown. Beautiful. All right, so now we are ready to recover. I'm going to recover the vessel and see how much science we got. Maybe it was able to bring us up over 45 already. 38, so close. We got a lot of funds for completing the contract of launching our first vehicle and a lot of reputation. We can go in mission control, see if there's any new contracts to get. These contracts are kind of the monotonous gameplay contracts that squad put in. I'm going to stick to the milestone contracts right now, like Orbit Kerbin, mostly because they don't expire, and once you start orbiting Kerbin, you can get enough science to really unlock everything to do all those other minor contracts. Okay, so we are at 38 science. We still need 45 to unlock this node. I could unlock this guy if I wanted to, but like I said, there's still another whole group of science out in that water right now for me to unlock. And that'll surely get me up over here, and I'll still have enough science to unlock this if I want to. So I will just take my second launch and land in the water. I'm going to put another thermometer on there, and I believe I'm going to put an antenna on as well so I can get a second crew report when we land. All right, so I'm going to leave facility. Actually, I know a way that I don't have to put an antenna on. Let's do that. Okay, so we go back into this. Moho launch vehicle is ready to go again, all loaded up. And so we are just going to launch one more time. And we're going to do essentially the same thing, except it's going to be a little bit more of a speed shot over to the water. Jebediah Kerman is making his second piloting debut here on the Moho launch project. SAS is initiated. We have liftoff in 3, 2, 1. And we're going to just begin our tilt in that easterly direction. We want to be moving, we want to shift our velocity east as fast and as much as possible so we can cover more ground towards the water and not waste as much energy going up. All right. We are going. We don't have to worry about collecting any data right now because we are not, we have already collected data for that section, that biome. So now that'll be redundant. So we will just wait until we come down close to the water and we will collect data there. And then I will do a little trick to be able to collect data in the water as well. All right, so there we go. Decouple, success. I'm going to turn my capsule around just like before and let it follow that retrograde marker. I'm going to speed up here. Deploy the parachute. And we are good. I'm going to continue this. I'm going to slow my speed down a little bit. I am going to log the pressure data. Looks like that one's all done. Okay. I'm going to log the temperature data above the water. Good, keep that. I'm going to take the crew report above the water. That's good. And I'm going to see if the mystery crew has one that we can do. No. Okay, perfect. We're in good shape right now. Now I'm going to fast forward until splashdown. Initiate my SAS as we come in. 10 meters and splashdown. Okay, now that we're in the water, I'm going to, like I said, do a little trick here. I'm going to EVA with Jeb. I'm going to take an EVA report. Good. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to take data. Then I am going to right click on this thermometer and I'm going to take the data from the thermometer. Then board again. So now what that allowed me to do was to relog temperature from water from a new biome and do another crew report from that biome, do a barometer, mystery goo, and another mystery goo. So we were able to make sure we got data from the space above the water and in the water. Those are two different biomes. Now we are ready to recover again, now that we have the EVA. And we most certainly will have enough science to unlock that new node, which is good for us. 66 science, that's perfect. We didn't get much in terms of our reputation or money because we didn't achieve any contracts. So let's unlock this guy right here. This will allow us to be able to build that rover I was talking about. And now that we have sort of exhausted our efforts towards, actually, I have one more launch I want to do and then I will cut the episode short there. And this is purely just because there's a bit of science I need to get. I'm going to make this one really quick and we will go from there. My goal for this launch here is to head north towards the shores over there. Um, that way we can land on the shores and get some science there as well, because that's a different biome as well. So 3, 2, 1, launch. We're going to make our turn towards the north just like before. Don't want to turn too far. But we are heading over here. I don't want to overshoot this and go into the water. I had a couple pretty good distances on that last one, so let's bring up some of my velocities in the anti-radial direction. Try to cut some of my northerly velocity here. Okay. Turn just a little bit more. I'm essentially just trying, because I can't control the throttle on this engine, I'm trying to uh, control my velocity. So I'm trying not to have too much velocity in this direction, so when that engine cuts, I don't keep drifting that way. I'm trying to be able to land in this grassy area right here. All right, so fast forward. I think we are going to be good. I think we're going to land there. Parachute out. Good. All right. So I already did a temperature scan here, I believe. Let me just make sure. Log temp. Good. We are all set there. We are all set there. And we are all set there. Did I do a crew report here? Yes. Perfect. So we don't have to do any tricks on this one. We just need to come in for landing and run our experiments and go from there. Oh yeah, and because my graphics setting is down really low, I don't actually have a shadow to judge how far away from the ground I am. So luckily, Kerbal Engineer has a feature that will uh, tell me how far away from the ground I am. Before, you could have a shadow that would get closer to you as you approach the ground, but I don't have that because I turned the shadows off, and it is strictly just to save on calculations for the game. So um, my game will run more smoothly while screen recording. Okay, so I believe I've gathered everything. Just make sure I got the thermometer. Good, good. I did the EVA crew report. Good. All right, let's recover it. And that's going to give us another good chunk of science. Probably about 20-ish. Oh, not quite. Okay. So now we've gotten science from the shores, we've gotten science from the waters, above the shores, from the launch pad, and from the runway. There are a bunch more science places here, 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 and here. There isn't one here for some reason. I'm not sure why. They designed it that way, but for some reason they don't have one here. And we also have some mystery goo that we can get at the KSC. So the next episode, I am going to design that rover that I've been talking about and probably go on a couple rover missions to gather all this science. And then we will start strapping on bigger boosters and getting higher into the sky. Uh, this is Tyrus Diamond, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.